The Liberal Party has won the federal election in Canada, culminating a process marked by US President Donald Trump's threats of a trade war and of making the country the 51st American state. With this result, the Liberal Party's leader and current Prime Minister Mark Carney will remain in the job and will form a new government with a new cabinet. In his victory speech, newly elected Prime Minister Mark Carney called for national unity among growing tensions with Washington, declaring the long-standing cooperative relationship between Canada and the US had come to an end.
President Trump is trying to break us so that America can own us. That will never ever happen. But we also must recognize the reality that our world has fundamentally changed. Our old relationship with the United States, a relationship based on steadily increasing integration, is over. The system of open global trade, anchored by the United States, a system that Canada has relied on since the Second World War, a system that, while not perfect, has helped deliver prosperity for a country for decades, is over. We are over the shock of the American betrayal, but we should never forget the lessons. We have to look out for ourselves, and above all, we have to take care of each other. When I sit down with President Trump, it will be to discuss the future economic and security relationship between two sovereign nations. And it will be with our full knowledge that we have many other options than the United States to build prosperity for all Canadians. Because this is Canada, and we decide what happens here. Canada is more than a nation. We are, and we always will be, a confederation, a sacred set of ideas and ideals built on practical foundations. That we know we're not always perfect, but we always strive to be good. We do things because they're right, not because they're easy. That we see kindness as a virtue, not as a weakness. Most importantly, we know that our strength lies in our resolve to work together as a country. It relies on our unity.
Carney's leadership followed the resignation of former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, who stepped down amid sinking approval ratings driven by rising housing and grocery prices. Conservative leader Pierre had hoped to make the election a referendum on Trudeau's legacy, but Trump's interference and Trudeau's departure cleared the way for Carney, a former British central banker, to take the reins of the Liberal Party and ultimately the government. In a concession speech delivered before results were finalized in his own riding, Poilievre pledged to continue fighting for Canadians.
We are cognizant of the fact that we didn't quite get over the finish line yet. We know that change is needed, but change is hard to come by. It takes time. It takes work. And that's why we have to learn the lessons of tonight so that we can have an even better result the next time the Canadians decide the future for the country. While we will do our constitutional duty of holding government to account and proposing better alternatives, we will always put Canada first as we stare down tariffs and other irresponsible threats from President Trump. Conservatives will work with the Prime Minister and all parties with the common goal of defending Canada's interests and getting a new trade deal that puts these tariffs behind us while protecting our sovereignty and the Canadian people.
Meanwhile, Trump's Election Day remarks only inflamed tensions as he mocked Canadians on social media, falsely claiming the US subsidizes their economy and suggesting Canada might as well be a US state. This provocation came just days after a deadly attack at a Vancouver street festival, adding to the charged atmosphere. Trump's increasingly hostile posture towards Canada, threatening tariffs, targeting Canadian industry, and pushing to move North America auto manufacturing to the US, has had a profound impact on the Canadian electorate. Many Canadians cancelled trips to the US, boycotted American products, and voted early in record numbers. In total, 7.3 million Canadians cast advanced ballots. This election marked the most foreign policy-driven campaign since 1988, when the free trade agreement with the US was the dominant issue. Today, with Canada's economy closely tied to the US market, over 75% of exports go south, Trump's threats pose a serious economic risk. Carney has promised that all revenue generated from retaliatory tariffs on US imports will be used to support affected Canadian workers. He also pledged to implement a tax cut for the middle class, scale immigration to sustainable levels, and boost funding for the national public broadcaster. The return of Canada's Liberal Party with such force is an example of how regular people are waking up to the danger of an authoritarian regime. Witnessing Trump, the deportations, the removal of protections, the firing of federal workers, the loss of civil and human rights is only an example of how human instinct takes over when an election is put before us. The idea of allowing Canada to fall foul of fascism is not something that the Canadian people want for themselves or for their future. Here's hoping Americans take a leaf out of Canadians' flag and do the same in the midterms and beyond.
Vive le Canada. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.
I'm Anthony Davis. You can find me on the 5 Minute News YouTube channel and podcast, on Wednesdays co-hosting Uncovered, and on Sunday on The Weekend Show with MeidasTouch.
Love this video? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch and help us blow past 1 million followers.